What are you supposed to do? Yeah, everybody. Everybody you've ever known, everybody I grew up with, everybody's house is gone. It's absolutely nuts.
Brady Harville grew up in the heart of what is now a moonscape. But in the Iraq War veteran's palm is the cherished sliver of steel he came searching for.
Your personal dog tags?
Yeah, the ones I deployed with. They're like all burned up now.
Wow.
After I deployed, I gave them to my dad, and he had them hanging in his man cave.
You got goosebumps right now.
Yeah, I do. It's crazy. It's mind-blowing.
Tonight, thousands of Californians are sifting through the charred remains of their houses.
There's my neighbor's house.
While others are still fleeing the onslaught of wildfires, which erupted on Sunday and have been wreaking havoc on the state since. This dramatic video showing residents fleeing these apocalyptic scenes.
This is insane.
This is my neighborhood, in flames.
Driving through tunnels of fire in search of safety.
Completely in flames.
Let's go.
At what point did you realize that you needed to get out?
Pretty much as I was driving through and passing the other cars, and it started to get real hot inside my vehicles.
Hospital patients whisked away on gurneys as the flames marched towards them.
These fires are literally burning faster than firefighters can run.
And tonight, as the inferno continues to spread, prompting more mandatory evacuations, thousands more must make an exodus.
You don't want to head through Napa?
There are still firefighters putting out hotspots behind me at this mobile home park. But when you get up close, it's gutting to see the burned remains of possessions that people probably held most dear, like this King James Bible. And when you look at the density of the debris here, how hard it is to pick your way through here, you can understand why just minutes ago, officials here located a victim, and why they tell us that beneath the melted roofs of those mobile homes, they expect to find more.
Bob Tunis's mother's home at the Journey's End trailer park was in the path of that firestorm.
She woke up, there's fire engulfing everything. They had already done evacuating this neighborhood. They were already out of here. Jessica just told her to get the heck out.
What he found was grim. His mother never made it out of her house, his sister arriving just moments later. The numbers staggering. Over 170,000 acres, roughly 4 times the size of Washington, D.C., have burned. Over 20,000 people displaced, over 3,500 structures damaged or destroyed, at least 21 lives lost, and hundreds still missing.
The sky was filled with, it seemed like, a billion fireflies from all the embers.
Most of the out-of-control wildfires are wreaking havoc in the northern part of the state, where there are 19 active fires. But on Monday night, another fire broke out hundreds of miles south in Anaheim Hills, setting the backdrop for these haunting images of Disneyland. All of that eye-stinging smoke visible from space. And on the blistered earth, stories of unimaginable loss.
This is pretty much all that I can see that's left.
In Napa County, brothers Chuck and Mike Rippey sift through what's left of their parents' home.
Fire doesn't care.
They told my colleague, Nick Watt, the fire took something from them that they can never replace, the very foundation of their family.
Your dad was 100, and they'd been married 75 years?
Yeah, 75 years. She was paralyzed. She had a stroke about 5 years ago. There was no way she was getting out of this fire. My father was sleeping in a different room, and we found him halfway to her room. And so he never made it to her room. And but even if he had made it, there was no way he was going to leave her.
The brothers now finding solace in their parents' undying love.
And they died together. They never wanted to leave each other.
Efforts to track down the missing are underway across the state, and one person who was lost in the chaos was Steve Liner. We met his brother Al, who'd been searching for him for 48 hours already.
I am very worried about him.
They'd served in Vietnam together, but Al hasn't been able to get into the destruction zone.
Thank you, sir.
So we drove him in.
I've called him God knows how many times, and the phones are all down.
And then, on his brother's street...
Is that him?
That's him. Man, I've been looking for 2 days for you guys.
The worrying weight dissolving into brothers linking arms. Firefighters around the state are working nonstop to slow the inferno and prevent further loss of life and property.
We have folks on the fire line starting their 3rd shift right now that have not been relieved.
But authorities warn the death count is almost certain to rise.
Firefighters are so strapped, they're not worried about the flames inside, but what they are concerned about are those embers flying out of it.
Those embers blasted across Northern California by gale force winds. In fitting with this hellscape, they're called Diablo winds. And tonight, these winds are forecasted to strengthen yet again, up to 40 miles an hour in some places.
So you're just pushing back the fire and then moving on to the next house.
ABC's Lindsay Janis was with some of the firefighters today.
Firefighters are desperately trying to protect houses from these flames. This helicopter dropping water on the fire.
Another challenge for firefighters, water supply is running low.
We don't have a lot of water, so the water supply is difficult. So it's just better to let it burn.
Some residents resorting to fighting back the blazes with garden hoses.
So sad. It's so sad.
And in areas where the flames have been extinguished, residents now face the grim task of returning to lives and livelihoods destroyed.
This is where all the wines were made and fermented.
In Sonoma County, one of the country's biggest wine regions, the owner of Paradise Ridge Winery returning to the remains of his building.
It happened quick, and people were evacuated off of our property before midnight.
He says he watched the flames engulf the property using a security camera app on his phone. It's still too early for experts to estimate the damage this fire will do to these vineyards, but it has the potential to be fiscally devastating. At least 5 wineries have been significantly damaged or totally destroyed. At least 11 others have reported damage. In Santa Rosa, we heard Chris Pond and her husband Mike before we saw them. She was so desperate, she clung to a stranger for a hug. As they frantically searched through the rubble for Chris's most beloved possession,
Oh my God, my wedding ring.
her wedding ring. We helped them in that exhaustive archaeological dig for over an hour. Her shoes melted, our hands burned.
It burnt your fingers.
She did find some curios.
Don't burn yourself.
But not that ring. But earlier today, we got a message from Chris. She spent another day digging, and finally this morning she messaged us that she found that ring. Tiny items burnished by fire, offering at least a sliver of hope tonight. For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Santa Rosa, California.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.